The section from Valdemossa to Deya is considered one of the most beautiful and scenic parts of the entire route. It connects the two most popular coastal villages in northern Mallorca and offers countless views down to the coastline. But before we could enjoy the sweeping views over the island, we first had to climb a 938-meter high mountain, Puy Gros, through a shady holm oak forest. At the top, the views were indeed spectacular. Deya looked like a tiny bunch of houses in a world of green and blue from above. The village, whose houses are mostly built from sandy to light brown natural stone sourced from the region, blends very harmoniously into the mountainous Mediterranean landscape. A cold, biting wind was blowing, prompting us to quickly begin the descent to Deya. After filling our bellies in the village and chatting with a few German road cyclists, we set off on our way down to the coast to enjoy the sunset. We were both exhausted from the long descent and happy to sit down for a while to enjoy the views over the spectacular cliffs of Deya. When the sun set, we were more than ready for our tents and a good night's sleep, which came very quickly. The next morning began grey and rainy. After taking down our tents, we resigned ourselves to the inevitable and hoisted our heavy backpacks onto our shoulders. We had actually expected a relatively easy day, but after the first short, steep ascents and descents along the coast, it became clear to us that it would take some time and effort to reach Soller. After we had covered several more kilometers, we finally caught sight of Soller. The town lay in a valley, surrounded by cloud-covered mountains. As beautiful and stirring as the sight was, the thought of having to conquer those stone giants in the coming days was unsettling. We had to admit that there was a sense of danger and adventure growing inside of us when looking at the cloud-covered mountain range and imagining what it would be like to hike up there. Well rested, we left Soller, heading north into the mountains through the valley of the torrent de Bignare. We particularly enjoyed this section of the trail, as the dry landscape had come to life and water was bubbling from and over the rocks around us. Nevertheless, it was a sweaty endeavor to haul our heavy backpacks up the many steps leading steeply to the Col de l'Offre. This ascent was truly a tough one. Once we reached the pass, we were rewarded with a breathtaking view of the Coubert Reservoir and the surrounding mountain landscape. We lingered for a while and took in the scenery. After circling the reservoir, we had to climb another hill. In the fading light of day, we began our descent towards the Refugi Tossal Verd. This section of the path is not without danger, as the valley becomes increasingly narrow and the trail steeply descends. There is a short Via Ferrata section to overcome. It's advisable to charge your headlamps beforehand, as the march through the rocky terrain takes quite some time. There are also very few suitable spots for camping. Beyond the Via Ferrata, the well-marked trail leads over a small rise and down to the refuge. On the 8th day on the trail, we were expecting rain. For that reason, we had safely stowed our cameras in our backpacks and filmed on our smartphones. Long-time followers of our channel know that we do acknowledge the smartphone's rightful place as a video camera, especially when it's raining. And in this case, it was particularly interesting to see a Sony Xperia smartphone directly compared to a Sony Cinema Line and Sony Alpha Line camera. But enough of the tech talk. That morning, we passed the refuge and began the long ascent to the highest pass on the entire island, the Col des Pras, at 1260 meters. As it became clear that the forecasted rain wasn't going to come, we took out our cameras to capture the breathtaking landscape in the best way possible. From the pass, we still had a long but not overly difficult descent to Hug ahead of us. The mental advantage for us was knowing that this would be the last real descent on our journey to Polenka. The final stage on the GR221 in Mallorca was by far the easiest and least spectacular section of the entire trail. The route led from the Santuari de Hug over two small mountain passes and out of the mountains down into the plains of Polenka. After 9 days, 132 kilometers and 5,290 meters of elevation gain, we had made it.
Papana, Yana, Gemma, Marina.